Hi, I'm Tara and welcome to Why. Fasten your seatbelts as we get set for another flight through the scientific stratosphere. Because on today's show, Joseph will tell us everything we wanted to know about leeches, those hungry little suckers, and David is going into bat against the forces of scientific uncertainty. But first, Lisa is going to interpret how dogs and cats communicate for Luke Richardson of Camberwell in Victoria. Go team, go!
As humans, we communicate through sound, through facial expressions or by touch. But have you ever wondered what your dog or cat is trying to tell you? Animals communicate through facial expressions, sounds and body postures. I think we should go and find out exactly what it is our pet is trying to tell us. Well, Judith, I've got a dog at home and I'd really love to know what he's trying to tell me. How do animals actually communicate?
Well, they have several ways. They've got their body language, ears up, eyes, their tail. They have smell. They leave various smells around, and so that tells a dog what another dog is doing. Vocalisations, and you've probably heard all the different barks that dogs have, so they're very, very good at communicating.
True, and how could you tell a friendly dog?
Oh, well, a friendly dog usually wags its tail. It'll come up and sniff you, and when dogs greet each other, they usually sniff each other, and the dog will do that to its owner, come up and just say hello to you and rub its nose on you and say you'll know it's friendly.
What about this little fella? Is he friendly?
Oh yes, he came when you called him, and look at that, he's rolling over.
Well, Judith, from the friendly dog to the aggressive dog, how can you tell if a dog is angry or to stay away from it?
Well, I think the first clue is the way it stands, the posture of the dog. And then you might look at its hair. Quite often that'll stand up, and its ears will stand up and it'll start staring at you. Then you may see the top of the lips just be pulled back a bit, and then you'll probably hear a growl in its throat. And that will be ready to attack.
Judith, I've noticed when you take a male dog for a walk, they like to stop and pee on every second tree. Why do they do that?
They're marking their territory. And it's a very effective way of keeping other dogs out or telling other dogs they've been there.
Oh, okay. And why is it, Judith, that dogs bark?
Well, it's interesting. We think that the dog evolved from the Asiatic wolf probably about 40,000 years ago, and the wolf would howl to indicate its territory and to keep other intruders off. Nowadays, with the domestic dog, they bark for many, many reasons. They bark to keep people off their territory. They probably bark to get attention. They bark because they want to play, and they just bark for the heck of it. So there's not one definite reason why a dog barks.
Judith, what can you tell me about cats? How do they communicate?
Well, their body language is very obvious. Their ears are used, their eyes and their hair. A very cross cat will have its hair standing up. The tail's a very useful indicator of behaviour as well. Vocalisations are very important. They have about 16 different types of meow.
Oh, really?
Oh yes, a meow to get in, a meow to get out, a meow for I'm hungry, and then the mother will meow to the young.
What about purring?
Oh, that's a lovely behaviour. People really like that. The cat actually is a very interesting animal. It's the only one of the cat family that purrs.
Well, Judith, this is such a friendly cat, and you'll often notice that cats rub up against you. Is this friendly behaviour?
A bit of it is, but most of it is marking behaviour. They're actually marking their territory, and people think they're being friendly, but in fact they're saying, I own you.
Okay, Judith, I'm prepared. I've got my safety gloves on. How do you handle an aggressive cat, and what are the signs?
You handle them very carefully. The signs are usually very vocal, hissing and growling, but the body language really tells you how fierce they are. Their ears go up, they tend to lie their ears back after they've gone up, their eyes dilate, and they put their fur up and their tail goes straight up in the air, their claws come out and they really start scratching.
Well, now we know exactly what it is that our cats and dogs are trying to tell us. But just remember, don't go and pat a strange dog or cat that you don't know without the owner's permission first, or they may communicate with you in a way that you do not like. The pets, aren't they just the best?
Scientific, Lisa, and thanks to Dr. Judith Blackshaw from the University of Queensland School of Veterinary Science. Did you know that scientists believe dogs have been man's best friend for about 100,000 years and cats have purred near us for 5,000 years? Well, that's what I call a couple of old mates. After the break, David will be here to give us the lowdown on another scientific principle. See you then. Welcome back to Why. Now, David's got a few little things tucked up his sleeve, so it's over to you, David.
So, you think you're so strong, do you? Well, let's see if you can withstand this. Here we go, and... Okay, it can. I thought you'd crash if I did that, but it's not going to. Very, very strong toilet roll there. Okay, let's try the same thing, this time with a different object. This one is an egg. What do you reckon is going to happen this time? Same demonstration between the palms of my hand here, and I'm just trying to squeeze you together and see if you're going to stay intact, and absolutely it's going to stay intact as well. Now I was trying as strongly as I could to try and get that egg to crack then, and it didn't crack. Now Tara told me I could do this demonstration with these two different objects and they wouldn't break, and she was absolutely right. Tara, come over here. Very well done.
That's the old cylinder in the egg trick, really. Gets you every time.
Very, very cool. Now I did a bit of a research.
Yeah, I thought you would.
Some research about these, of course, to find out what was happening.
So what is happening?
So what is happening here? Well, the cylinder and also the dome, which is what this egg is. It's two domes sort of like in the opposite direction to each other. And these objects and structures are actually used in buildings to give them strength, okay? So they're very, very cool things. This one, the cylinder, can take a lot of strength, or a lot of force rather, from either end, okay? So it's very, very hard. No, but if you try and get it from the side there, then it's going to take a little bit more force than that. But if you put a bit of force on the side, then it will eventually sort of crumble like that. Okay, so it doesn't have much strength that way. But from the ends, it has a lot of strength. The egg, on the other hand, is a slightly different situation here. It is, as I said, two domes in the opposite direction. We've got a whole lot of these domes down here.
Yes.
Now, what I'm going to do is actually put a brick on top of those, okay?
A brick on top of the domes?
A brick on top of the domes. So do you reckon this is going to work?
Oh, I'm a little bit scared.
Hang on, this is your science that you told me to do.
Yeah, okay.
You don't trust your own stuff.
Well.
Okay, let's try this. Put the brick, it's a very heavy brick.
Yep.
Put it on top of the eggshells here.
Ooh.
And look at
Voila.
that. It's supporting all of that weight beautifully. Now what the egg does is, because it's symmetrical and because of the way it's shaped, it will actually spread out the force evenly over the entire eggshell. Okay, so it's very, very useful in buildings and structures. You'll find these domes absolutely everywhere. And another place you actually find this kind of shape is just over here. Light bulbs.
Ding, ding.
Okay, so we're going to try and experiment with these light bulbs as well. I just need to pick this up and put it on the floor.
Ooh.
And just like this. Do you want to come around the back of this? Can you see where I'm going?
I can. I don't think I want to do this
You don't want to? Oh, come on, it's fun. All in the name of science. I'm going to get you to step up onto this board very carefully and see if you can't... Brilliant. Excellent. I can let you go. And
dun, 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 dun.
Very, very strong structure is our dome. Okay, before we do anything
She doesn't want to move either.
we can get you to step off like that, and you can step off back to your desk now. Thank you for helping me out and giving me some ideas for today's segment.
No worries.
And I hope you guys at home found this particular experiment exciting as well as enlightening.
Well, I have to say, stories that involve animals are often my favourite. But when Nick Clark wrote into us asking the question, why do leeches suck blood, I knew two things for sure. First of all, Lisa would definitely not do this story, and secondly, well, I probably would. But apart from that, Nick, I don't know too much more about leeches, so let's go and find out. Well, Wendy, I knew it wouldn't take too long before I found a leech, or maybe that should be before a leech found me. What are leeches?
Well, leeches belong to a group of animals called annelids, or segmented worms, so they're closely related to earthworms. They live on land or in the water, but on land they like a nice damp environment with lots of plants around, such as a rainforest.
Now, is there just one type of leech?
No, in Australia there's about 40 different kinds of leeches.
And how much blood do they suck?
Don't worry, it'll only take about a teaspoonful of blood in 20 to 30 minutes.
Okay.
And when it's had its fill, it'll just drop off.
Well, it looks like it'll be there for a little while longer.
Yep, I think you've got it stuck with you for a while yet.
And he is literally stuck.
Because as I found out, leeches have strong muscular suckers at each end, which they use for suction, to hold on to their prey, and also for moving around. At the mouth end, the sucker is designed for the main purpose of sucking blood. Blood offers them a high nutrient food source. The leech opens its mouth and attaches itself to a host, which could be a human or an animal. Inside the leech's mouth are 3 rotary discs arranged in a letter Y shape. There are 60 tiny teeth on each disc, and as these discs spin, the teeth cut through the skin of their host. Now, while I may look brave, there's actually very little pain here, because leeches have their own anaesthetic which they apply to their hosts, which is in this case my arm. But Wendy, I've had enough fun for now. How do you get the leech off?
Well, some people use salt or try to burn off the leech, but it's really not necessary to be so cruel to the poor old leech. If you get a good grip on it, it's normally fairly easy just to pull them off.
Well, Nick, I hope that helped answer your question on why leeches suck blood. But mate, maybe next time you could ask a question on dolphins or koalas or kangaroos or cats or pigeons or ducks or frogs.
I've never been keen on leeches. All right, Joseph, you are braver than I am to let that little thing suck you. It's hard to believe that a long time ago they were a common medical cure for a lot of diseases. Coming up in the show, David gets experimental with heat energy and makes an impact with some craters. That's after the break. I'll be back in a sec. Welcome back. Now, did you know that the largest land carnivore, or meat eater, is the polar bear? But in 1960, one was found weighing in at 1,000 kilos and topping 3 metres in height. Whoo-hoo, that's the bear facts for you. Alrighty, it's time for another experiment from David. Now, he told me this one was about heat energy, so let's check out what it's all about.
Happy birthday to me, happy birthday to me, happy birthday, dear... Howdy, guys. You caught me singing to myself there. And having a bit of a look at this sparkler. Now, I'm looking at this sparkler for a very good scientific reason. The reason we're looking at it is because we can see something. We can see sparks. That's why it's called a sparkler. It's producing a whole lot of light in the form of these sparks. This is the same thing that a fire does. So when a fire is burning, it actually produces light energy. There's one other kind of energy that a fire produces when it's burning as well, and that is heat energy. Now, of course, I'd be a very silly person if I was to take my hand and put it across this sparkler here, because this sparkler is very, very hot. It's producing heat energy, and stacks of it. So our little sparkler produces heat energy and also light energy. Now, light and heat energy we can use for all sorts of things. Of course, we use candles if it goes dark at night time and the electricity goes out. We can also use that heat energy to cook our food, to sterilise lab equipment, to go flying in hot air balloons, and also all sorts of other things as well. Now, this is still a little bit hot, so I'm going to put it in the bucket of water that I've got sitting over here. We've got a bucket of water sitting here, a fire extinguisher, and also a fire blanket, just as a precaution in case anything goes wrong. Put that into the water there. Okay, back to our heat energy. Now, I've just told you what we can use this heat energy for, but I haven't really proved that this is really, really hot stuff, our fire. So I'm just going to grab a balloon here, and what I'm going to do is put this balloon next to my fire, next to my little candle. And I think you know what's going to happen. What's going to happen, of course, is the balloon is going to burst. I've stuffed a whole lot of air in here, and that air is just dying to get out. And it will get out if we can actually shrivel part of that balloon. So let's shrivel part of the balloon with that fire, with that heat energy, and see if we can't get our balloon to burst. That's a little bit scary. Here we go. Not something to try at home, guys. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Whoa! And we've blown out our candle there as well. So we can certainly use that heat energy to definitely heat something up. Just need to very carefully light my candle again and put that back down the bottom, because we need to do that experiment again. And to do that experiment again, we're going to use another balloon, but this balloon has been filled with a whole stack of water. So this makes the experiment a little bit messier, so probably going to have to do a bit of cleaning after we do this one. Now, what I'm going to do is put this balloon up next to my candle here and see if we can't get that heat energy to burst the balloon as... Hang on. That's not working. I've got my flame, I've got the heat energy right up next to the balloon there, but my balloon's not going to burst. I wonder why. Well, it's actually very, very simple. What we're doing when we've got the heat energy down the bottom there from the flame is we're heating that little bit of water up down the bottom. Now that water, as it heats up, rises, just like hot air rises. And as it rises to the top, the cold water at the top sinks back down to the bottom again. So we have hot water rising, not air inside of there this time, hot water rising to the top and the cold water sinking back down to the bottom again. It's moving around. It's called a convection current, hot and cold water cycling around in all sorts of different directions there. But we can make our balloon burst. We just need to put in a little bit more of that heat energy. So let's put my balloon down for just a second, just like so. And I need to grab, whoops, it's going to fall off the table there. I need to also grab something which is going to produce a little bit more of that heat energy. So I need to light my flame, like so. Put that down there for a moment. Let's grab my balloon and put this over the bucket. We're going to make a little bit of a mess here, guys. So, balloon up next to the bucket. Let's see if we can now get our balloon to burst. We're heating that water up down the bottom there. And as we heat that water up, we should actually be able to heat up the balloon skin as well. Last time we couldn't heat up the balloon, oh, hang on, here we go. Now we've got some water going everywhere. So we're now heating up that balloon skin, whoop, and I've lost my flame here, which means I've got to come back over here and make a big mess, light my flame, come back over,